Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. I did not make it to the big ass march on Saturday that everybody and their mama, well, everybody white and their mama seemed to have been at. I read that 2.1 million people protested across all 50 states. There were really big numbers I saw in Boston and also downtown DC. I didn't attend the march, nor did I watch the march. I saw a couple clips online. There were a limited number of people of color in attendance. I told y'all I was planning to go because the innocent man, the non-gang member that got deported to El Salvador with no due process, and the American government is just like, I mean, our bad, but we're not going to get him, though. As of today, he's still down there. It's gone all the way up to the Supreme Court. And as of right now, I don't know what the resolution is about, like, whether they're going to get this man or not. Two previous courts have said, like, this is horrible. This is unconstitutional. This is unconscionable. Like, go get that man. And now the Supreme Court is like, well, let's hear it out. To my knowledge, we're still waiting on a final decision on the outcome of, like, whether they're going to get this man. I wanted to go protest for that and many other reasons that I outlined in last week's episode. But the reason I didn't actually is one of my friends came in town. She, like I think everybody, is concerned about the National Museum of African American History and Culture, aka the Blacksonian, and what's going to happen to it. The leader of our current administration has issued an executive order that essentially wants to whitewash the museum. There was an article just yesterday. April D. Ryan wrote a story about how the administration, in particular, doesn't like the facts and artifacts about slavery that are in the museum. And I was like, yeah, that's the crux of the museum, because that's like the crux of the experience of Black Americans. That's the origin story of, most of the Black Americans, at least in this country. So my friend wanted to come and go to the museum. If you hear me choosing my words carefully, it's because I said something about this online. Again, I posted pictures from my trip to the museum over the weekend. And I specifically said my friend came in town because, she's afraid the museum is going to close, which I think is very likely to happen. And I've said as much. I don't think it's going to be immediate. I think the museum will be whitewashed, and then I think it will be closed. I'm pretty sure that a closure is likely. For obvious reasons, people don't like to hear that, and people got very upset that I said that. Rightfully so. I take no joy in talking about the museum closing or the museum being whitewashed or anything negative happening to the museum. But I think people who think that nothing will are unrealistic and are in denial about how the reach and the destruction that this current administration desires to wield on us all. I don't know how anybody could be in denial after this stock market crash. Like, our government is actively working against us. But we went to the museum. Hopefully it won't be the last time I'm able to go. The tickets are sold out for most of the month right now. I had to call in a favor. I had been advising people who had never been to the museum before that you need 4 hours to get to the museum. We did 6 hours. We didn't stop to eat. We tried. The cafeteria is only open from 11 till 3. But somewhere around 3:15, we were like, we're starving. I think we were on the floor with all the sports memorabilia. We had one more floor to go. And we were like, okay, we got to stop. We got to eat. And then we got downstairs and, like, there was no line and the cafeteria was dark. And we were like, wait, what? Like, are they changing shifts? But there was no food. Not the point. The point is, it took us 6 hours to get through the museum, and we didn't read every sign. I kind of breezed through most of the sports stuff. It's just not my core interest. It's also not my first time being at the museum. But, like, I didn't read every caption, and I didn't try to take pictures of everything. And still 6 complete hours trying to take it all in. Our backstory is filled with so much pain and so much horror. I've had this thought many times before, but it's just so much. Nearly the entirety of the Black experience, everything from the horror shows or even our successes, has been a reaction to racism. It just permeates every single aspect of the Black experience. It's just so completely inescapable. The museum is straight up depressing in many ways. Like at one point, actually 2 points, I just wanted to start yelling, just like yelling to all the people in the museum, most of whom were white, which I was like, good, y'all need to be in here learning about this. And they were super polite because I think they realized like, oh, goddamn, we evil. But I just want to start yelling at people like, like just look at what they've done. Look at what they've done. Look at what they're doing. If you've not been to the museum or you have not been in a very long time, you should go. It's such a necessary museum. It's just so heavy. Even by the time you get to the top floor, which is probably the only part of the museum that isn't like in direct conflict with the goals of the new administration, is the music, TV, and film. White folks love to be entertained by blackness. Like nothing up there is too controversial, but the rest of the museum is, you know, look at the culture that black people built from piecemealing several African cultures together to create one of their own, and their reaction to brutal, never-ending, unrelenting racism for generations and generations and generations. Oh, and slavery. That part. If you haven't been, you need to go. With haste. I know people hate it when I say it, but like I'd rather you up and go with haste and nothing happens than to be like, oh, I have plenty of time, and then you never get to see it before it's tampered with, whitewashed, or worst case scenario, closed. So let's see. Do we have anything? I did watch The Handmaid's Tale. I watched it this morning. It came out last night. I feel like I've seen no advertisement for The Handmaid's Tale. I keep a calendar where I have listings of all the new shows. I had The Handmaid's Tale on there, so like I knew it was coming, but like I saw no advertisement whatsoever. And I was like, Handmaid's Tale is one of Hulu's like big hit shows. Like no advertisement. And it's been like, I don't know, a couple years since it's been on air between like the strike and then the actual shooting. It's been a bop. But it's back. It has 3 new episodes on Hulu. I've watched all 3. I watched episode 1, and I forgot how much I hate Serena and June. They are like obsessed with each other. They cannot leave each other alone for anything. And I understand that the core conflict of the show is their conflict. So the writers have to keep finding new ways to reposition them into fight mode that feel fresh. I get it. But at the same time, like neither one of them are particularly likable. And I'm like, who exactly am I supposed to be rooting for? Like, oh, June, because she's trying to get her baby back. But I'm like so sick of this self-righteous white lady. I'm like, you and Serena Joy are the same person. Y'all just self-righteous about different shit. But I was kind of over the episode. Like, yeah, maybe the show's been gone too long. Maybe because so much has transpired since the show first came out. And then also since the last time it was on the air. When The Handmaid's Tale first dropped, it was like this dystopian horror fantasy that like, oh my God, like this could never happen. Like America could never turn into Gilead. Like it was far-fetched. And then now it's kind of like reality. So I'm like, do I want to watch this? The conflict with Serena and June is so redundant until the last like 90 seconds of the episode. Remember how I always use Flight as the best example of this. Not Flight, that's a Denzel movie. What was the movie with Idris Elba? It was on Apple. It wasn't a movie, it was a series. Idris Elba was trapped on the plane. I want to say it was like 6 episodes, maybe 8, but it was Idris Elba on that plane. And the last 2 minutes or 90 seconds of every episode, like some wild shit would happen. That's what happened in The Handmaid's Tale. I'm not telling you anything. Just like I was watching it and then something happened and I sat straight up. And then when I realized the thing that had happened, I burst into tears. It was like watching an episode of This Is Us, like one of the episodes with William. Like it was bad. Like I boo-hooed. And I was like, oh, I guess I really am still invested in this show. Like, okay, we good. Let's go. I watched episode 2. I watched episode 3. Mayday. They planning something big. We just don't know exactly what. From the trailers, it seems like there's about to be a mass execution. Like the handmaids are about to kill maybe the commanders. I don't know. They up to something. They always up to something. June still does not have Hannah. I swear for God, this is the last season of this show. If June don't get Hannah back, I've been committed to this show for a good, easy 8 years now. If June don't get that little girl back by the end of the season, I'm gonna write a strongly worded email. I'm gonna type really, really hard. Like I might break a nail and I'm gonna send an email to Hulu and then I'm gonna call them out on social media because that's pretty much the extent of what I can do. But yeah, she better get that little girl back by the end of this show. I'm looking at my list of other things to talk about. It's not a super busy week. Thankfully, we do have a really great interview this week. Franchesca Ramsey, she's one of my friends. We haven't actually seen each other in years and years and years. Like, we were trying to figure out when we started the interview how long it had been. But I talk about her on here all the time. We talk about politics and we talk about how people are like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I voted for Trump and then MAGA is ruining my life. And then, I sing our song. Like, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. I be putting some extra stank on it because that's not actually how Francesca sings it. She has multiple versions now. We talked about that. So we have an interview with her a little later in the episode. We have two things to talk about before we get there. The first one is short. AP has finally been let back into the press room of the White House, and they've been out for over a month because they refuse to refer to the Gulf of Mexico, which it has been called for hundreds of years. They refuse to refer to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. AP was like, hey, we're a global publication. Like, you unilaterally changing the name to Gulf of America doesn't make it so and such. It's an international body of water. If you want to change the name like the Mississippi River, because that just runs like through the United States, like you have domain over that. Like you could do that. But the Gulf of Mexico that you also share with like Mexico, like that international body of water, you cannot unilaterally change the name. And no, we're not going to go along with this nonsense. But the AP was kicked out of the White House press room. But a judge ruled, I think earlier today or yesterday, that the White House had to let them back in. So took y'all long enough. Jesus. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is like also minor, it's worth mentioning because it's all over threads. It's trending over there. Issa Rae is a producer on a film that just hit Netflix recently. It's called One of Them Days. I think it came out. Was I in Belize? I feel like I was overseas when it came out. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll check it when I get back home. I knew some people who saw it and they were just kind of like, it's okay. And I was like, okay, well, I'll catch it whenever it comes out. It's on Netflix right now. I watched or tried to watch it the other day. I got maybe like 25 minutes in and was like, yeah, I'm not the core audience for this. Like maybe I'm too old. I don't know. It didn't resonate with me. I didn't think it was a bad film. I just didn't want to keep watching it. There was a woman, she also watched the film and she did not enjoy the film. Instead of critiquing what she didn't like about the film, she chose to critique Issa, who again is a producer on the film. The actual writer of the film is a woman by the name of Sarita Singleton. If you have an issue with the structure or the story or the characters, this is largely like a writer issue. Her critique was, I really think Issa Rae should really stick to making stories about middle-class Black people. Leave working class and poor people out of it. Stick to what you know, babe. If you see Issa Rae's name trending on Threads, that is the post that started it all. It's turned into a huge kerfluffle because it's gone beyond this woman having a critique of Issa's upbringing, essentially, to a conversation about middle class or upper middle class Blackness, if it's Black enough, if it's authentic Blackness, the othering of Black folks who didn't grow up in struggle, Black folks who grew up in the burbs. It's emerged into like a larger conversation, which is one worth having, but also one we've had 50 million times before and it never goes anywhere. I'm actually kind of glad we're having the conversation. It's just like a really weird catalyst because I'm like, I don't understand how one thing has to do with the other. The same woman who did the critique of Issa that I read to you, she was also criticizing Issa's, I guess, like her LA-ness, for lack of a better word. And she was like, she lived in Senegal and also in Potomac, Maryland. She grew up with like wealthy parents. She can't relate to working class LA issues. And I was like, so wait. So like you can only write about your experience, which again, she didn't even write this film, produced it. It's two separate things. But like, so Like, how does this work? Like, if you weren't on the Titanic, can you never write about the Titanic? Like Steven Spielberg, he's a Jewish person. He didn't grow up in Nazi Germany, so is it okay for him to make Schindler's List? Is it okay for him to make Color Purple? Which some people be like, no, his white ass had no business making The Color Purple. But also, Color Purple is one of the best movies ever made. So only like people from LA can write about LA. Only people from DC can write about DC. What if you do a whole bunch of research? What if you employ people who are from DC to, get the nuances right? It's just a weird critique. But okay, also, right? So does that mean people who are from quote unquote working class, because that's the term that she used in her post, does that mean they can only tell stories about other working class people? Like what? To my response to the whole thing was like, not too much on Issa Rae. Not too much on Issa. Actually, I'm reading it right now. My post was, y'all sound crazy as hell trying to come for Issa Rae. Find something else to do. Something safe. Cause going at Issa, that ain't it. Issa's like so very unproblematic. We've been knowing Issa for like 10 years now? Other than one disgruntled employee, I don't know that there's ever been another beef with her. And I'm not saying that to be shady. I'm just saying literally that's the only thing that I can think of. To credit, like she's employed hundreds, if not thousands of people at this point. And there's one person who's been, vocal and critical. That's a pretty good track record in Hollywood and anywhere else. Issa gives us good content and tells us that she's rooting for everybody Black. She also don't be outside too much. She comes out when she got something to promote. She told us about her man and the wedding. After the wedding, we ain't seen him since. She on some real Kerry Washington with his husband, and I'm not mad at her. May they be long wedded and prosper. Issa don't bother nobody. It was just such an unnecessary thing to do. And just such an unnecessary jab to take. You don't like the film? Fine. Say you don't like the film. Say like you don't feel it's an authentic experience about working class LA. You don't feel the characters are relatable. You don't feel the situations are relatable. Fine. Fair game. But to critique the producer? I mean, she put it out for sure, but I'm like, I don't know. Wouldn't it make more sense to, like, if you must critique anybody, like the writer, but also, again, just the core premise. Like, okay, so what if the writer is from working class LA? Then what? Sometimes I really enjoy the internet. Sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Make it make sense. Like, literally, make it make sense. Make it logical. That's all I ask. We have an interview with Franchesca Ramsey. I'm about to read you her bio. Just because I've known her forever and a day, like I know there's no possible way she put everything in here. But let's see. Oh, she's got an IMDb. She's so fancy. I'm going to go to her actual page, Franchesca.net. Franchesca Ramsey, my friend in my head, but also my friend in real life, is an actress, writer, sought-after public speaker, and creator-star of the award-winning web series MTV Decoded. She's a former writer-correspondent for Comedy Central's The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore, and her first book, I have this book, Well, That Escalated Quickly, was nominated for an NAACP award and named one of Amazon's best books of 2018. In 2020, she served as a writer co-producer on the iCarly reboot for Paramount Plus and guest starred on NBC's Superstore. These days, you'll find her co-hosting the podcast Let Me Fix It. In 2024, Franchesca's debut feature was selected for the Sundance Fellowship Program. With nearly 20 years in the online space and over a decade in film and television, Franchesca has carved out a unique lane as a public speaker and consultant. From college campuses to corporate workshops, her superpower comes from engaging with audiences in ways that help them laugh, learn, and think. Girl, I'm about to update your bio for you because there's like 5 things on here. We talk about them in the interview. But there's like 5 more things like this year alone that should be included in here. And definitely something about the leopards. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Franchesca Ramsey to Ratchet and Respectable. I'm so excited she's here. We're trying to figure out the last time we saw each other, and I think it's like over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it has to be because this is 2025. That would have been 2015. Yeah, that's about right. I had a few years where I was going to South by South. I mean, South by Southwest was the place to be for a few years.
Yeah, I only went that one time. And I had a great time, but then I never went back. And now it's just like, oh, it happened. Like, I don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah, people don't really go anymore. I think it's very much a relic of early internet days. It's kind of just gotten overrun and it's expensive
Super expensive.
and it's Texas. I feel like, Austin's that like little enclave, but now it's like, I'm not going to Texas. You're not
Yeah,
getting
there's
me.
certain states I just avoid. I'm like, I don't know what happens if like something happens to me here. So yeah,
No.
yeah. But the crazy thing is like I haven't seen you in like over a decade, but I feel like I talk to you
I know.
almost every day.
I feel the same way. And it's also so funny because I get DMs and messages all the time that are like, I heard your song on Demetria's podcast and she was talking about you today. And I'm always like, I try to go find the episode. And I'm like, girl, you got like 8 million episodes of this podcast.
I was doing twice a week for like three years. And I just went back like last month to one episode a week, which, the audience is adjusting, some better than others, but yeah.
That is so, oh my God, that I feel like you and I could do like 10 sessions about different things. Cause like the audience's expectations versus what you want to do is a whole conversation that we could have, because to hear you say, hey, I'm only going to do once a week and people are going to be in their feelings about it. It's like,
I genuinely love it, but it's also just a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. I literally had this conversation on Threads today with someone who said, if you're a content creator and I'm following you on multiple platforms, I need you to switch it up. I don't want to see the same content. And I was like, do you understand how much work it is to produce a 2-minute video? Sometimes that's hours worth of work. I can't do that multiple times a day across every platform. If I make something and I, spend money on it, for example, and I put all these hours into it, I'm going to try to get the most out of it possible, because sometimes you post something on Instagram and it doesn't do well, but it does great on TikTok and vice versa. And so it's kind of like a numbers game. So similarly to you, where it's like you put all these hours into producing a piece of content, the audience doesn't see all of that work. They just see the output. And so it's very flattering when they want more, but it's like, personally, I'm a one-woman show over here. Like I can't do, and I have other jobs. I have other stuff to do.
You have a million other jobs. So, like, when I reached out to you the other day, I'd seen a commercial. You have a content creator series that you're launching later this month. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
In a couple
April
weeks.
19th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw the commercial for that and it was just like a snippet of things. And it was like, okay, like I do the acting thing and I do the producing thing and I do the TV thing. And it was like 4 things, which is very appropriate for what it was. But just because I've known you and been following you for so long, and I'm like, oh, she didn't mention this and this and this and this. Oh, and this. And then when I started researching to like make sure that, like I was up to date on you, like not just as a friend, but to do like a proper interview, I was like, oh, you're like doing everything. There's Webby Awards. There's like, you're on the new season of Survival of the Fittest.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Also, shout out to you, man. Doing research before an interview. I didn't know people did that anymore. I'm being shady because I've had, I can't tell you how many times I've been co-interviewed and I'm like, how is it that you don't know anything about me before we sit down to talk? So thank you. Thank you for doing that. I have always been someone that has had a lot of creative interests, and I'm very thankful that my parents always fostered and encouraged me to pursue anything that I was interested in. But also just like the changing media landscape has really forced me to keep up all of these things. If I could just have one job, that would be great. But Hollywood is very slow. It's not as much, and very fickle. It's not as much money as people think it is. When we went on strike, I think a number of folks were like, I thought you were, a millionaire. I'm like, what are you talking? No, the TV does not pay. I wish. And I think, and maybe you've had this experience too, a lot of people think that visibility equals wealth, and it doesn't necessarily. Like, just because you see me a lot of places doesn't mean that I'm making a ton of money. You likely see me a lot of places because I'm trying to pay these bills. So that's why I'm doing all these different things.
No, and like the unglamorous things. Somebody told me that very early in my career. Like the very sexy things never pay the most because everybody wants to do them for free. But the very unglamorous stuff, that's where you can like actually make money.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, what I'm kind of learning later in life, or I'm trying to get a better handle on, is like the business side of being a creative is just a totally different part of your brain. Like I'm really good at making stuff and promoting things and collaborating and all that other stuff, but I'm not as strong when it comes to I'm doing this is my first time doing a course. I know so many people that have made millions of dollars selling things when they had no business selling anything. And then like I am just someone who I'm really thoughtful about, like I never want to take advantage of my audience. I never want to ask them to spend money on something that I don't think they can afford or wouldn't be worthwhile for them. And so in hindsight, I don't regret anything, but in hindsight, like, man, I could have been cleaning up if I had been shilling stuff left and right.
I think that that you have integrity about those things is part of the reason for your longevity here. Because I saw the other day, it was like since 2006 is when you started, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god." Then I looked up for like when say like shit white girls say or stuff white girls say. I think
2012.
that's forever ago.
Yeah, it's really wild. And again, thank you for saying that. I think a lot of people, especially with TikTok, so many people have blown up, and TikTok has really only been around for like 6 or 7-ish years, but really it's been the past 4 or 5 that people have really seen a lot of success there. And I can't tell you how often I've seen people say, I've been a content creator for 3 years. And I'm like, oh, that's great. But you might not be here in 3 more years. The internet is very, very fickle. We lose platforms all the time. Trends change. People just come and go. And it's really hard to remain in the social landscape. I really consider myself to be very, very fortunate that I've been able to stick around this long.
What's your secret? Is there a secret?
Ooh, for me, the secret has been not putting all my eggs in one basket. And as much as I can complain about the fact that I feel overworked at times, I'm doing 800 things. I'm so thankful that I've been able to do all these different things because I think it's taken the pressure off of, I need to go viral every single month. I need to hit this many views, like blah, blah, blah. I'm just kind of like, cool. If it does well, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm moving on because this isn't my main check. And I hope it doesn't go away. But I sold a TV show recently. I'm in the process of thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. And I listen, I've sold so many shows that have not
Mhm.
gone that have not gone to series. Knock on wood, this one does, but I'm so thankful that every time I get another job, it introduces me to new people, gets me new opportunities. I've produced all these different podcasts. I've been doing like punch ups, which is basically like a script is already written and then I just go in and add jokes. So I've been doing that like off and on the side. And so social media has been like a nice respite from having to get on a call and take notes and have all these deadlines and, all of the create by committee of some of the other work that I do.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times when creators get burnt out, it's because this is the only thing that they're doing. It's the only place they're making money. And I think it kind of stifles your ability to play and try different things because the stakes are a lot higher when TikTok or YouTube is your only check.
From the outside looking in, it seems like you're constantly going viral.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so I was like, all right. I was like, this is not just in my
I
head.
am, but I have a lot of stuff that doesn't perform and you don't know it doesn't perform because you don't see it. I see it because I look at the numbers, but I've been going at a rate of like one video a day for the past 3, maybe 4 years.
Wow.
And so I have stuff all the time that doesn't perform. Everybody my leopard song has been doing really well, which I'm so thankful for. But I put out like 5 songs before that bombed. And I just was trying a bunch of different things. And again, I was disappointed when those other songs didn't work out. But I was just like, well, I'll just try something else. And so I think, again, I just don't have the same personal pressure that I did when Shit White Girl Say happened. I quit my day job and I was just making videos and I was so stressed out. It was just so inconsistent. And I was, riding really high off of that video, and then my views tanked. I had to go back and get a like a regular job because YouTube wasn't paying me enough money. And in hindsight, I'm so thankful. I think that really kept me from getting stuck just doing one thing.
How did you come up with the leopard song?
So it was a few things. So there are a number of people on TikTok that have gotten big just writing songs that become what people call sounds. So you see people do like a lip sync, or they do like a dance or a challenge, or they caption themselves with a sound in the background. And I had just been seeing a lot of those happen, and I really wanted to make one. And there was a girl that made one called Girl Dinner, and she was just talking about how sometimes she's lazy and just wants to eat a candy bar for dinner. And the song was like, girl dinner, and it was all over. And I was like, man, if I want to, what's my girl dinner? So I kept writing all these like stupid songs. And I wrote a song about how I love my calendar. I wrote a song about how I was having a midlife crisis. That none of those worked. And then I saw a story about this Black gay Republican. His name is Rob something. I don't know. He looks like he's wearing a helmet. His hair is like really bad. And he had gone to a Trump rally, and a bunch of people at the Trump rally were calling him racial slurs.
Oh, I remember that video. Yeah, he's like, I didn't feel welcome. Like, what?
Yeah. And I thought about this meme that's very popular from Twitter, written by this great writer, Adrian Bott. And the tweet says, "I never thought the leopards would eat my face," screamed the woman who voted for the face-eating leopards party. And so when I saw his story going viral, that was the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a song, because I could sing it about him, but I won't say like his name. Like I'll just make it about the leopards. And man, I couldn't sleep. I was just in bed, like recording all these different versions of it, just trying to figure it out. And then, yeah, I put it up, and it went viral almost immediately. I think it got like 1 million views in like a day.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
thank
become
you.
part of the culture. Like whenever someone does something stupid related to politics, you're the first thing that pops in my head.
Yeah, it's so funny because to your point about like I go, gone viral all these different times. I was walking my dog, and this lady stopped me, and she said, "You're the leopard lady." And I looked at her like, "What are you talking about?" And then I was like, "Oh, you're right. I am. I'm the leopard lady now." And so like, I've always loved leopard print, but I've now been wearing leopard print every day, whether it's like my shoes, or I've bought all these leopard print clothing and scarves and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to lean in. I'm just going to be the leopard lady. On TikTok, people are like, "Where's that leopard lady?" I mean, people I've never interacted with
The
before.
leopard lady with the little guitar or the
The ukulele. Yeah. It's so funny. And even that, like I started playing ukulele during the pandemic. I took lessons over Zoom. My writing partner, Shamika, was moving out of her apartment. She had a ukulele, and we were helping her clean out her apartment. She's like, "Does anybody want this?" And I said, no, I'll take it. And so I started fiddling around with it, and I tweeted, "Oh, I really want to take ukulele lessons." And one of my followers was like, "I'm actually a ukulele teacher. I'll teach you."
I love the internet.
I know he's become such a good friend, and he was so sweet. He was like, "No," I told him like, "I'll pay you." And he said, "No, you don't pay me." And I said, "Well, what if I pay for one of your other students?" And he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So every week I would just pay the fee for one of his students. And I got so many sweet messages from them that are like, I went to pay for my ukulele lesson, and John was like, "No, it's paid by Franchesca Ramsey." And then I get this nice message like, "Oh, I love you." And I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. One thing about me, I'm not telling anybody to work for free. Absolutely not. And so, yeah, he's become a great friend, and I always send him just new stuff I'm working on. And he's just been a great friend and collaborator.
What are you working on now with the leopard song? Because there was a gospel band.
Yes.
I send you ideas. I'm like, have you tried this beat? Have you thought of this genre? Can you try this?
Okay, well, I just hired a 15-piece queer mariachi band,
Wonderful.
and we are recording this Friday. We had our first full rehearsal last week. We have one more rehearsal this week, and we're doing leopards in Spanish, but it's oh my God, it's incredible. There's like three horn players and like four violinists, and
Just the one that was a harp. I saw a video. There was a
there's
harp.
a harp. There's a harp player. I almost cried when we started rehearsing. I just couldn't get over how good it sounds. It sounds so romantic and like it should be in a musical or something. So that's the thing I've been working on, which has been really, really fun.
Would you consider doing like a full like musical?
Yeah, so that's actually like on my agenda. I started as a stand-up and I stopped doing stand-up largely because the hours were too difficult for me. I was working as a graphic designer and I was having a lot of late nights and I couldn't do late at work and stand-up. So I started doing YouTube. But one of my goals this year was to get back to stand-up. So I've been writing a lot more like comedy songs interlaced with stories and stuff. And so one thing I'm hoping to do this year is like really flesh out a one woman show and like tour it or maybe even do like a residency or something like that.
I love this.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm like one of your biggest fans. So I'm like, just let me know
Oh,
where. Like, I will buy tickets. I will buy other people tickets. I will pay it
oh,
forward. That's so
thank you.
exciting.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really trying to just lean into creating opportunities for myself. I think especially in light of how Hollywood has kind of been slow to recover from the strikes and honestly, like after fucking Donald Trump got elected a second time, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like here I am, striving for perfection in every single thing I do and holding myself back and beating myself up over every little fucking thing. And this dude is able to be president a second time, but the fuck this. I'm doing whatever I want. like so this is something I've been saying I wanted to do for I can't tell you how long. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna freaking do it.
Just do it. I love it. Were you
Yeah.
someone who was always into, actually, I think I know the answer to this, like always into talking about politics or racism or social or culture?
No. No. Actually, the title of my book is Memoirs and Mistakes of an Accidental
Mm-hmm.
Activist because, or that's the subtitle. It's Well, That Escalated
I have the
Quickly.
book somewhere. I was like, yes, I remember this.
Yeah, you were going to do my Atlanta stop, and I think it didn't work out because you had something else happening. Yeah, the most cliff notes is I am a suburban kid, if you can't tell by my voice. I'm from South Florida. I went to predominantly white schools. I went to Catholic school. And I think my parents really tried to shield me from just the realities of being a Black person in this world. And um, there was just a lot that I didn't understand about the interactions I was having with my white classmates. And so when I made Shit White Girls Say to Black Girls in 2012, I really thought that that was a video about my experience going to school with white people. I didn't think it was a video about microaggressions, a word I had never heard before, white privilege, a concept that I wasn't familiar with by definition, but I think intrinsically I understood, like white people move through the world differently than I do. And so when that video went viral, suddenly everyone was asking me like to speak on all this stuff. And I just genuinely was so overwhelmed and didn't know anything. And I kind of just like fell into this place where folks were asking me for stuff and I was scrambling to learn. And truthfully, Tumblr is where I learned a lot of stuff. Like people were giving me book recommendations and I was reading articles. Someone wrote a dissertation about Shit White Girls Say and sent it to me. It was like a 30-page paper.
Wow.
And I kind of learned backwards that I'm just really good at talking about identity and difficult concepts in a way that feels really accessible. And so I just kind of leaned into that, and the rest is kind of history.
I love that you went and did the work, because without naming any names, like, there's a bunch of people online that like do stuff and you listen to them talk and like you're regurgitating something that you have no real idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch, so my first I think it was my first national television interview was Anderson Cooper, and he did a whole special about Shit White Girls Say. And, in hindsight, it makes me cringe. I mean, I did the best that I could do, but I was truly not prepared for that interview at all. I had no publicist. I had no agent. I had nothing. I did my own makeup. Like, I truly went into that just like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I got dragged for it. A lot of people felt like I just didn't handle myself well, and a lot of it was just deceptive editing. As I'm sure you know, they'll clip moments of you like between takes. So there's moments of the interview where I look really sad, or I look like I'm totally unprepared, and it's just me having like resting bitch face. Like, I just didn't know. And so there were a number of very heated posts written about me on Tumblr, and I naively read all of them, and I was like, this makes sense. I understand. Like, I didn't define the microaggressions as racist. I just didn't. To me, I was like, no, these aren't racist. These aren't, my friends are saying these things. I think that's also just my personality. Like, I've always been very studious and empathetic, and I might not agree with you, but if you present where you're coming from, like, I'm down to hear it, and I'm totally open to say when I don't know something or I'm wrong about something. And I don't know, I think that makes me a really good writer and performer. But at the same time, I think it's also partly why I'm not like some superstar, because I'm totally willing to be like, I don't know about that. I'm not the right person, or that doesn't jive with me, or I feel like my audience would be really upset if I did that. Like, I just am so keenly attuned to how my work impacts people and how it's received. And so I always want to be really thoughtful about that.
That's a good thing. It's a
I
rare
think
thing, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'm at a place in my life now where I see it as a good thing. There were times in my career where I just was always so frustrated that I felt like I should have been further ahead. And sometimes I feel that a little bit, but having those moments where I'm like, man, I wish I could just sell out. I just wish I could
I've
say
had that thought
yes
before.
to this.
Like, why do I have morals and ethics? Why can't I just do whatever to like cash the check and not feel any way about it?
Yeah, I have had that feeling so many times, and I think this is where you and I are really similar. Like, my mom and I are really close, and it's so important to me what she thinks about my work. Yeah. She is the number one person that, like, I don't give a fuck if all y'all like it. If she's like, I don't know, I'm gonna second guess it. And so sometimes I've gotten offered things where I'm like, man, this would be an awesome check, but I don't know how I would explain this to my mom.
Yeah, my thing is like,
there's
sit
no
at the
way.
Thanksgiving table, like,
Right.
and not be judged, because I will be. They will call me out, and I feel no ways about it. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, I don't in general believe in like social shaming and such like that, but there is some degree of goodness that can come from just a smidge of family shame.
Yeah, so I mean, so they're not always right. I mean, I love that you have that compass with your whole family. Mine extends to my mom, and sometimes my dad. My dad is still like, a 72-year-old man. Like, sometimes he'll be like, "That's some woman shit." I'm like, "All right, Dad,
All right.
You don't know what you're talking about. You literally don't know what you're talking about." But fine. But to your point about shame, I think we need to bring back shame. I think some people should feel more ashamed of the things that they share and do and participate in. And that if more people just did an internal gut check, or a gut check with like their group chat, right? Like, how often do you see, I see things online where I'm like, do you have no friends?
A lot of people
Because
don't.
my friends,
A lot of people don't.
because my friends would pull me aside and be like, "You okay,
Exactly. Like,
girl?"
go get the phone. Cut off the internet. Cut off the Wi-Fi.
Literally. And I've had that. I've had a few friends that are like, "Okay, girl, you crashing out. Just please,
No more
just
internet today.
take a break."
I had good friends text me that. Like, you're arguing with a bot. Stop.
Exactly, exactly. And more people need that.
Yes. Agreed. I feel like as of late, you've been putting up more boundaries online.
Mhm.
Can you talk about being a woman online, an opinionated woman
Yes.
online, what you've dealt with and the boundaries you've had to put in place to protect yourself?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's so interesting too, because over like the last 10 years, the way that people talk about race and identity online has really changed. And when I was, making Shit White Girls Say, and I had a series on MTV called
Mm,
Decoded, when I was doing that, like I was getting so much harassment and hate and just people saying terrible racist things about me. Fast forward to now, there are people, white people specifically, with millions of followers talking about race and identity and social justice. And I'm like, this is crazy.
yeah.
I'm like, wow, like good for you. But also I could never, the way that they talk to their audience, the topics that they cover. I mean, I feel like my content, as proud as I am of it, is very 101. Like I'm not doing anything super radical. And I just as a woman, but also as a Black woman, there's really no way I could say anything that's not going to have someone be like, "You have an attitude. You are yelling at me. Why are you so angry?" I mean, I'm smiling and playing a ukulele, and people will be like, "You're angry about everything."
It's like it's
No,
ukulele. It's fun by nature. It's fun.
I'm harmonizing. What are you talking about? It's been hard for me, honestly. I'm such an empath, and I am a softie. And again, I think that in many ways it's a superpower for me. It's why I think I'm good at what I do. But the flip side of it is it's really hard to have people say untrue things about you. It's really hard. Honestly, like I've had my Blackness questioned my entire life. And it's been really frustrating when, on the one hand, racists are saying horrendous things about me. And then I'll have Black people in my comments being like, "You're not really Black and you're da da da, and you wish you were white and da da da." And I'm like, this is insane. And so I've really had to set boundaries for myself about like what I engage with. Like I'm so tired of trying to explain myself to people that don't like me or are going to think whatever they want about me. So I'm just like, I'm just going to block you.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just not going to engage. Like it's just not worth it. And especially online, like I'm getting paid. So, be mad if you want. You're still watching, like you are a fan. And that's just come with age and also time, where I had to really get serious with myself and say like I'm wasting a lot of time arguing with people and repeating myself, and so like just setting clear boundaries. Like one thing I say a lot is I'm not going to repeat myself. As soon as I say that, I know like I can't keep going with you or I'm going to look stupid. So I've said I'm not going to repeat myself. That means I get to check out. I don't even respond to my comments on Instagram anymore, really, or Facebook, like maybe one or two. And it's nice. It just takes the pressure off. I'm like, you're going to think whatever you're going to think. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. I think I've curated my audience in a way right now. I haven't been cursed out really good in a really long time. Even when I say more controversial things, but I just know like any day now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing that you have going for you is that you have a really engaged audience that really is protective
They
of
are.
you. And so like if somebody says something wild in your comments, like, and I have this too, and it's genuinely like I'm so appreciative of it. Somebody will say something wild and like they'll just go to town. They'll be like, "I know you're not talking about my girl."
Mhm. And no one
Like,
will there's a meme
okay.
about this. Like no one will defend you like someone that's your bestie online.
Yeah, it's so real. And I have beyond you, like I have a number of friends that I've made over the years where it's like, yeah, we haven't seen each other in years, but we are ride or die online. And I'm more than happy to defend you and vice versa, or just, slide in your DMs and be like, I see you. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. Or I know you having a bad day, whatever. And it's so nice. And I feel so thankful that I've been able to cultivate those kinds of relationships. And for all of my negative feedback about the internet, like it has been really positive and has brought some really great people and opportunities into my life.
Most days I love the internet, and to the point that some days I'm like, I love the internet. Um, like when something crazy happens, like I love being on threads and watching people react in real time, like WTF.
Oh my God. I mean, it's so funny too, because I was so like on threads because I just quit Twitter and I really have been in recent years trying to like get off social media. It's been like this, like it's been the longest breakup of my life. I'm just like, I need to get off the internet. And so then when I got on threads, purely because they offered me the bonus, they were going to pay me. I was like, all right, sure. And I was so skeptical. Threads has become easily one of my favorite platforms. People on there are so funny. And when some mess happens, like the whole timeline will be talking about some niche thing that happened. And it reminds me of like the best days of Twitter.
Early
where
Twitter.
We were all, it reminds me of early Twitter where we're just like all getting jokes off about one thing. And if you don't know what everyone's talking about, you don't know. Like I don't have time to explain it to you. It's just, it makes me laugh. I've had tears in my eyes multiple times because of things happening over there.
Yeah. And I wish somebody could just do a quick analysis. I feel like people are just a bit smarter. I don't know if it's because there's like more space to type so people get to explain themselves better.
I don't know. I mean, I love that you think that.
Like my algorithm, like my curated situation, I feel like I've got like a lot of smart people. I've got good people with like great political takes. I've got people who are just silly and crazy with a lot of free time.
I think there's a little bit of all of it. I will say, I mean, again, when Twitter went south because of Elon Musk, the reason I was really sad was because, like you're saying, I was engaging with some people who were so smart. Like you'd go to their page and you realize, oh, this is a fully accredited PhD who's written all these books. And this is a scientist explaining to us what's happening with El Nino or whatever it might be. And I was so sad to lose that. So Threads has brought a little bit of that back. But I think unlike Twitter, Threads can push your content to randoms, and that's what I don't like about it. Because if I'm making like an inside joke, then suddenly people are like, "Oh, so you're saying but?" I'm like, "No, I'm not saying that. You just came across this post and you're injecting your own personal opinion. I was talking about a very specific thing that my audience knows about, but now it's in front of you because Threads just pushes."
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like this, the town square, which is a cool thing, but at the same time, it's like you should be at the kids' table and you should stay at the kids' table. Like we're adults.
Exactly. You're from the next town over. You're not from this town. You're visiting.
You have a different accent. You literally don't know what we're talking about right now, and now you're interjecting and pointing fingers and yelling at people and stuff. And so I don't like that part of it. But I will also say it's kind of nice because you don't need a lot of followers in order to get your content seen there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of creators are missing out on using Threads as a way to promote yourself. Like I've seen so much content go viral there, and then I go to their page and they have like 20 followers. And that's really cool. Like outside of or TikTok and Threads, that doesn't really happen. You need to build an audience to go viral everywhere else. And Threads has kind of like democratized it similarly to TikTok.
Yeah, because over on Instagram, you could have really great content and a really big following and you're still fighting for your life to get views.
You can't even get your own followers to see your stuff. And that's why it always blows my mind when I see people complaining like, you're my friend and you don't interact with my content. You're not a real friend. I'm like, your friends might not be seeing your content. Like, I don't see content from anybody I actually know. It's all promoted bullshit all throughout the feed or things that are already going viral. It's really, really frustrating. All these platforms just want you to spend money now to promote your content. And it's just really annoying.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Can we talk about Survival of the
Oh,
Fittest?
oh,
I literally just saw you. Like, after I
yeah,
texted
yeah.
you, I had it on. And, like I'm
Hmm.
doing something on one laptop and I'm watching it on the other. Like, and I literally heard your voice. And I was like, am I like, because I just talked to her? Like, wait, what? And I looked
That's
over and there you are on my screen. And like, was it a pantsuit? Was it, no, short, all legs.
yes. It was like a little, yeah, it was like a little skirt. It had so much leg. Yeah, it's funny because Michelle is one of my best girlfriends. We've been friends for, I don't even know, like 10, more than 10 years, maybe like
I love,
15.
is this like a funny girl bonding
And
thing?
yeah, we met there was like a black girl comedy trip to Palm Springs many years ago, and she and I were in the guest house together, sleeping in the same bed. And we kind of knew each other because she had gone on tour with Eric Andre, and Eric Andre and I went to high school together. And so when they went on tour, I went to one of their tour stops and met Michelle. But then we roomed together and we really hit it off. And Michelle is like 5 or 6 years older than me. And I was just so inspired by how hard she was working as a comedian. And I met her at a time where she was very much like, God, I'm watching everybody blow up. When's my moment? When's it going to happen? And I've just watched her bust her ass. That girl works so fucking hard. And so, the first season of Survival, she had asked me to possibly be in the writer's room and I couldn't make it work. I had another project. I couldn't do it. And my schedule didn't work out to do the show. And so I was so happy that a part came along in season 2, and I did have to audition. I auditioned for 2 different parts. I tested.
I love that she was like, I love you, but
You're not getting anything for free. I've learned so much from her because yes, it is her show, but like it's also Netflix and she also is a showrunner
yeah.
and it's also A24. Like a lot of times I've become more empathetic as a consumer of content now that I've worked on the other side.
Mhm.
It's so easy for people to be like, why didn't Issa do this? Why didn't Quinta do this? It's like, you know that they are the exec producer. There's also like a whole room of executives that decide things. And you don't just get to write a check or do this storyline or whatever that you have. There's a process. You have to turn in a draft. Then you get notes. Then you do a rewrite. Then, sometimes the character will be a woman and the next week they're like, actually the character's a male now. We got to cut this. And now we need to audition all new people. Like there's so many
So much.
curveballs in the process. So, I told Michelle, I was like, because she even messaged me. She's like, hey, we're sending you this part. I don't want you to think, Michelle's making me audition. And I was like, no, of course I'm going to audition. Like, don't fucking hand me a part. And, it was in New York and it was like, you got to get yourself out here. Netflix is not bringing you out. Don't worry. I will fucking get on a plane, get my little Airbnb. And it was great. I was just so impressed by Michelle and I had a scene with Garcelle that got cut. But she really impressed me. I mean, she's so nice. She's so funny. She's an absolute professional. I mean, just doing different takes and improvising and just like a consummate professional. And same with Michelle. Michelle knows every freaking person's name on set. Like the grip, the lighting person, the assistant. I mean, it was just so cool to watch her work. And I'm so happy for her. Like, it's just so nice to see someone who works so hard and it's paid off. So I'm so thankful I got to have even a very small part in the whole show.
Yeah. So I was so happy to see you and Bevy.
Yes. Listen, Michelle's friends are all up through every single episode. Even sometimes a person that has one line, I'm like, oh, that's so and so. Oh, but it's really cool. And that's the way that it should be. A high tide raises all boats. We should all be trying to offer each other opportunities to work and grow and collaborate together.
I love that this is like finally we have like a collaboration.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because I made a list. I made a list of people I wanted to collaborate with.
I have a list too.
And you were on that list. And then I don't know, I saw some post that you made and I just DM'd you and I was just like, I'm so happy with something you were doing. I forget what it was. And I just sent you a message and I was like, I'm so happy for you. You're great. And you were like, do you have my number? I'm like, I don't know. I think I do. And I did have your number. And I was just so flattered that you were like, you got to do the podcast. And I just had this moment of, I have been saying I need to do this podcast and we need to work together. And so it all came together as it should.
Well, one of my friends is like, she's not a life coach, but she is a life coach. She coaches my life. She doesn't mean to, but she does. So the beginning of the year, she had me make a list of all the people that I wanted to have on the podcast. And you were on the list.
So great.
Like it was a list of like 50 people. And I was like, all right, so I've been checking off the list.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I did the same thing right when the first time around that TikTok was supposedly going to be banned. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I made a list of people from TikTok and across all of social, but I was just like, I want to work with these people. And I think social media as of late has become so siloed. People forget that it is supposed to be about being social. And so I'm really of the mind, especially as we go into what is going to be an economically challenging time for who knows how long, we have to find ways to work together.
Yeah.
It's the way we're going to get through it. And I think we all have to be open to being creative about how we work together. It can take many different forms. And I just have so many talented, hardworking friends that my list is going to keep me busy for many years to come.
Yes. You're also teaching people how to create wonderful content.
Yeah. So the class is called The Brand is Strong, a content creator masterclass. You can learn more at thebrandisstrong.com. It's happening April 19th and 26th. And I'm super excited because I did a lot of research just trying to figure out what it is people need and what's available. And I don't think there's anything like this out there because not only am I talking and teaching about the creative process from idea to script to film to edit to producing, it's 2 parts because after the first class, everyone's homework is going to be to put up a video. Everyone has to put up a video. And the second part, we're going to look at people's videos. I think what I've seen over the course of my career with all creative fields, but especially social media, a lot of people will put up barriers for themselves. Oh, I'm going to start when I'm in a better apartment. Oh, I'm going to start when I lose 10 pounds. Oh, I'm going to start when I buy a new camera. Oh, I'm going to start when, I have a better wardrobe or whatever. And you just have to start. You just have to put something up. It's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to hit. You just have to get over the fear of being cringy and you just have to do it. I'm really excited to get people out of their comfort zone, to get them to think about their creative process a little bit differently than I've seen people talk about it. Like I'm not pushing going viral and hitting all these numbers. Like I'm more about helping people hone their voice and figure out who their audience is and how to connect with them and create opportunities for themselves in that way. Like you don't have to have millions of followers to make a living. I don't have millions of followers. You don't have to go viral all the time. I've gotten jobs from videos that had barely any views, but the right person saw it and that opened a door for me. Sometimes it's just a connection with a person that comes from creating content. And so I'm excited to give people a peek behind the curtain. And I realize again, that's just like one of my superpowers is helping people and I'm so excited to do it on a bigger scale.
I'm so excited for your class. I feel like I may need to take it because as you were listing off, like, the things that delay people, I was like, oh yeah, I've said that. I've said that. Like I'm currently not doing YouTube because I was like, oh, I've got to like figure out the studio. And then one of my really good friends, it was like, no one cares about the background.
No one cares. The other thing about content creation that's different from like a television show, for example, is people like the DIY part of it. Like people, for example, when I add bloopers in my content and I show that it took me multiple takes to get something right, people are always so appreciative. They're like, man, I just assumed that you did this all in one take and it was perfect. And now I see like you're flubbing lines. Like, damn, then I can do it too. Like seeing that you don't start with a perfect studio, you maybe start with a corner in your apartment. And then a year later, you're in a studio. Like people love that. They're like, oh, I remember when you were in your apartment in Miami. I remember when you had bad lighting. I remember when they get to go on the journey with you. And I think too often as aspiring creators or current creators, we're looking at the super polished, high production value of a Jackie Ina, for example. Jackie did not start with the fucking smooth editing. That's not where she started.
Yeah.
And I love Jackie. She's worked her ass off. Go look at her early videos. They're on her iSight camera. It's dark, it's grainy. Like she had to start in order to start. And so people are going, well, if I don't have, a perfect apartment, it's like, well, if you set up reasons for yourself to not start, you'll never start.
I hear you say this, and I know for a fact that it's true because, like, Don Lemon, has like all his CNN millions, but he's sitting at his dining room table. And so that's his good setup. But then also he's walking down the street. Like he's just like got the camera up and like, what are you talking about, Don? That's all I care about. Don, Charles.
Let me tell you, his rebrand has been fantastic. Like, remember when we were all clowning Don Lemon? He had that sign that was like, I'm not a nigga. Remember that?
Oh, I remember Don Lemon and his like, pull up your pants, don't throw trash on the street in Harlem. Like, that's how.
Yeah.
And I was like, get the fuck out of here, Don Lemon, with this respectability, blah, blah, blah. And now he's like a full rogue revolutionary. I'm like,
it's been fascinating to watch. And even like the fact that he had, a show on CNN and he is now doing really powerful independent journalism. Honestly, his coverage during the election was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He was going on the streets and he was just talking to voters, and he did such a great job of providing space for people to be honest, judgment free, while also gently pushing back and educating them. And it was just masterful. And I've been so inspired. He's on my list. We have the same agent. I keep like messaging my agent and being like, where the fuck is Don Lemon? Can you get me Don Lemon?
Show? You can get me Don.
Get me Don Lemon.
I know he takes your calls. Cool. That's so funny. No, I think CNN, like at the time, it was like, oh my God, they're letting go of Don Lemon. And he was kind of acting up allegedly behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's probably the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah. I saw him talking to Joy Reid and telling her that and encouraging her to get on YouTube. And, it's the money is going to be different for sure. But she's also done really well in social media. Like she's done great on TikTok. And I think she would really thrive in the YouTube space. And independent journalism is going to be really important, especially as the Trump administration continues to crack down on any journalist or news outlet that doesn't bend the knee.
Mm-hmm.
So like everything is already being filtered through a Trump positive lens, or so much is being filtered in that way. We need Don Lemon. We need Joy. So I'm excited to see what she does next. And it's going to take her some time, I'm sure. It's still very fresh, but she's going to kill it. I know it.
Yeah, hopefully she got that contract paid out. So there's like, funds and ins and dividends while she figures everything out.
Yeah. I mean, everything, I don't know her. I think I've met her like one time. Everything about her gives me the impression that she's very smart about that stuff. I'm excited to see what's next for her. But again, the fact that Don Lemon has become one of my favorite follows on social media is not something I ever saw coming.
You could not have told me that 10 years ago. You could not have told me that. That and like drunk Don Lemon, drunk and New Year's Eve Don Lemon. Now YouTube Don Lemon.
An F-bomb Don Lemon. Yeah.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you about? Any big projects that I don't know about that you want to tell me about?
Oh,
Anything?
no, I don't think so. I mean, this has been very thorough. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't have any hard dates for going on tour. We're officially in Q1, the end of Q1. So I just got new management and we have like a big meeting tomorrow. So
Congratulations.
that is thank you. That's one of our agenda items is trying to figure out this tour.
Same.
So yeah, so hopefully I'll be in a place to announce that. I'll also add, if you love the Leopards Ate My Face song, you'll love the merch. Go to shop.franchesca.net. I've got shirts, I've got hoodies, I've got mugs, I've got stickers. I designed every single thing myself with lots of love.
I need a t-shirt.
And I'm really, oh yeah, they're so fun. I did like a sports theme as if Leopards is like a sports team. So it's like leopards versus faces. And I just truly had a great time creating it. And it's been so cool seeing people wear my merch in the wild. It's been
the whole
really
leopard
flattering.
thing. I can tell you really enjoy it. Like it really brings you joy and it really brings me joy as well.
Yeah, it's just been such an interesting thing because on the one hand, I'm sad that we are in the predicament that we are with Donald Trump, but I feel like this is a reckoning that unfortunately had to happen. And the solidarity I'm seeing specifically with Black people has been really heartening. Just this feeling of like, you know what, we fucking told you so. We've been telling y'all don't want to listen to us. And so now the leopards are going to eat your face and it's going to suck for all of us, but it's also going to suck for you. And I'm going to enjoy that because that's the silver lining of all this bullshit. And so the fact that my song has helped anyone feel a glimmer of happiness, the news is just so terrible. And sometimes you just need a little funny song that makes you laugh. And, seeing the bad guys hurt a little bit doesn't take all the pain away, but it helps a little bit. So
it helps.
I'm glad that I can provide that to folks. And, I never thought the leopards would be paying these bills, but they are. So
thank the leopards. Thank the leopards.
I'm very thankful.
Isn't she a doll? I love her. She has such an amazing speaking voice too. It's so soothing. Her voice is so soothing. Also, in the interview, I kept saying the show that she was on was survival of the fittest because that's like the common phrase. The show is actually survival of the thickest. My bad. I said it twice and I didn't catch it when I was doing the first edit. My bad. I didn't catch it. My bad. I didn't catch it when I was doing the first edit. All right. That's not everything, but that's a lot of things. And we'll be back next week. Not soon. Talk Wednesday. Okay.